Hey everybody, this is Unit 5, Formative 3. We're going to be multiplying square roots. Okay, so when we multiply square roots, we're going to multiply everything together. So you have to think back of what we did when we had something like x to the third times x to the sixth. We would add our exponents to get x to the ninth. Okay, you're going to have to remember how to do that for these type of problems. Okay, so unlike adding and subtracting where we could only combine our like terms, multiplying, you can multiply anything together. Okay, as long as it's the same variables. So we're going to end up with one square root. And first we're going to take the 5 times the 100. So that gives us 500. Then we're going to multiply our x's together. So we get x squared times x to the fourth, which is exactly like something I just did over on the side here. So that will give me x to the sixth, because we add exponents when we multiply. All right, now if we think back to our first video that we watched about radicals, we're going to break this apart. So now I have the square root of 500 and the square root of x to the sixth. Okay, I'm going to break the 500 apart into 5 times 100, and then I could do 100 breaks down into, we could go 10 and 10. 10 breaks down into 5 and 2, and the same thing with the 10 over here, 5 and 2. Okay, so it looks like we have a pair of 5s right here, and it looks like we have a pair of 2s right here. Okay, so the square root of 500, I'm going to move this over here. The square root of 500 will break down into, we're going to multiply a 5 times a 2 to give us a 10 on the outside. Square root of your leftover is 5. So square root of 500 breaks down into 10 square root of 5. Square root of x to the sixth, remember 2 goes into 6 3 full times. There's no leftover, so there's not going to be a square root. So the square root of x to the sixth just becomes x to the third. And now we're going to put our two answers together here and here. So we have a 10x cubed on the outside. Square root of 5 is your final answer. Okay, so again, let's kind of go back to this problem because there were a lot of steps. First, we multiplied everything together. We added our exponents on the x's to get the 6. And then we broke it apart into square root of 500 and square root of x to the sixth. We broke down the 500 to get pairs of 5 and pairs of 2 to multiply those together to get the 10. Your leftover was 5, so that goes here. X to the sixth. 6 is divisible by 2. 6 divided by 2 gives you 3. So the square root of x to the sixth is x cubed. And then we just put everything together in the end. All right. This one very similar. We're going to multiply the numbers on the outside together, so negative 3 and 4. And that gives me negative 12. They're going to stay on the outside. And then multiply your radicals together to get 12. 6 times 2 is 12. X to the third. Okay, and I got third because remember there's a 1 on this x here. So 1 plus 2 gives you x to the third. Okay, now you're going to break this down. So negative 12 square root of 12. And then we're also going to have the square root of x cubed. Okay, so we're going to break down those two parts there. 12 breaks down into 6 times 2. 6 breaks down into 3 times 2. So we have a pair of 2s. Okay, now, so we know the 3 is going to go underneath the radical because there's a leftover of a 3 right here. The 2 is going to go on the outside along with the negative 12 that's already there, so we multiply them together to get negative 24. Okay, so again, I took one of these 2's here because it's a pair. It has to go on the outside. Well, there's already a negative 12 there, so I multiply them together to get the negative 24. So negative 12 square root of 12 breaks down into negative 24 square root of 3. Square root of x cubed. 2 goes into 3 one whole time. So we're going to break that down into x to the first because it goes in there one whole time. And then there's 1 left over, so we're going to put that 1 underneath the radical. And we're going to put everything together. So we're going to put our answer here and our answer here together. So the stuff that's on the outside is a negative 24 and an x to the first. Underneath the radical, you have a 3 and an x. And there's your final answer. All right, and that is how you multiply radicals together. Make sure you guys took notes. We'll see you later.